Hatha Yoga. But the best really is Karma Yoga. It just works. It's so good, it works. So the best way to purify the mind is through that selfless, dedicated action or service. Clarity of knowledge means continuing to study, continuing to inquire, continuing to go deeper. These two things I must pursue at all costs. And then when my knowledge becomes clearer, then I'm actually able to break that identification. I'm actually able to transcend that. How? The bodies don't get destroyed like, oh, this is done, I'm done, not physically. Destruction means in understanding. It means I have the complete understanding that I'm not this gross body, I'm not this subtle body, and I am not this causal body, and nobody in the world can convince me otherwise because I'm so deeply rooted in that knowledge. Not only do I know, but I abide in that. Knowing is one thing, but abiding is another thing. I may know I'm not the body, but oh my gosh, I'm so tempted to eat that gulab jamun right now. Give it to me, That doesn't work. And that is not self-realization. Self-realization means I know it and I own it up. Means every bit of me owns this knowledge up. Until and unless that happens, that is not self-realization. So it's a constant process that we have to work at. Any other questions or thoughts?
It's like working. Sorry. No, go ahead. I'm just thinking, it's like working in the dark versus doing the same work when there's light.
Correct.
Same person doing the same work
Yes.
in dark versus light.
Correct. It's the same thing. So might as well do it in the light.
How do you apply this to your work, day-to-day work?
So how do you apply this to day-to-day work?
It's not selfless service, that is something you do for some benefit.
But it can also be selfless. How? Just because we get paid for it, that doesn't mean that it can't be selfless. So, because karma yoga has to do more with the attitude. So for example, in one's workplace, how do we apply it? Karma yoga has very, very specific and wonderful means of working. Is that work should be, number one, without worry. Karma yoga means that I am the best and most efficient worker in my workplace. So that work has to be without worry. I'm not worrying about the past, worrying about the future, but I'm so focused in the moment that I produce the best possible output in my workplace. That is karma yoga. That is work without worry. And what else is that work? Work has to be worship. Means that in my workplace, I am not only thinking about me. What can I get out of it? Many times this is our thought that what can I get out of this? That work has to be worship, and that whatever I'm doing has to benefit everybody. In an office, if somebody does something very sloppily, then the other department gets affected. Then the other department gets affected. And then again you have to redo this work, and then on and on and on and on. It doesn't make sense. So that work has to be kept in mind, that what I'm doing, I better do it so extremely well because so many people are going to benefit by this. So it has to be worship. And third is that work has to be wisdom, in the sense that one should learn to evolve deeply using that work. So whatever work you're doing, take it to the next level of evolution. It may be something simple, like maybe where, I don't know, maybe it's engineering or teaching, whatever it is, but then have suggestions to take it to the next level, right? What else can we do to evolve this kind of work? How else can it benefit more people? How else can it reach out to more people? Because so many corporations they have corporate social responsibility, etc. They have these tactics, right? So how else can we benefit more people? So wisdom means getting that work to evolve. So even in your jobs, you can practice karma yoga. Just because you're getting paid, it doesn't mean it's not karma. if it's done without worry, if it's done out of worship, and if it's done with wisdom, and that is the most beautiful karma yoga, isn't it?
And wouldn't that be just basically doing whatever you do wholeheartedly without expectation of the fruit,
Correct.
of the
Correct.
result?
Correct. And also keeping in mind, remember what I said, keeping in mind totality. That's very important. Many people understand karma yoga as working without expecting anything in return. That's very good. But also remember that it's a team spirit, it's a team effort. Karma yoga is when you forget yourself. You forget that you exist because your work is worship. It's totality. You forget your existence. That is karma yoga.
So the payment is part of the scheme of keeping you in this
Correct.
world scheme. So
Yeah.
it's coming, we're not working for the payment, because that's coming as a part of the scheme.
Yes, you're not working for the paycheck. Not we're working to get this $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. I mean, it's the prasad, right? You're taking it as prasad, but more importantly, you're working for a higher goal. Yeah.
So I guess till you're attached or you're viewing or experiencing the world through the senses, at whether it's the gross, subtle or causal levels, you're likely to view things for your return. So you would be doing work, but because you're attached to your senses and how you perceive things through them, you would be interested in the results.
Correct.
You would be attached to the result because of the senses, in a way, right?
In a way,
Right?
yes.
I mean,
If you did that right, your action itself is the reward. Right? You're not looking for some other result. What you did is your reward.
Your reward. So I think also what you're saying is if you're attached to your senses, you're going to be attached to
Yeah.
the result.
I mean, in as much as you're limited to those senses and how you perceive things, and so let's say it's subtle, at that level, maybe you're doing work for egotistical reasons or
Okay.
something. And so the reward would be the recognition or something.
Correct. Correct.
Because you're limited by your sense, and that's why you have to get beyond that.
Yes.
This attachment can occur at the body level, mind level, intellect level. People who work because they want to buy better clothes, better cars, they have that gross body attachment level.
Yeah.
Some people they just work because craving for education, higher learning. So that is that mind level of this. The sense of fulfillment is coming from the mind.
Yeah.
Some people with intellect, maybe selfless service, social workers, community, their attachment is at the intellect. That there the kind of fulfillment is coming. But all this is realized in the Karana Sharira causal body, which is that Bhokta Purush. That's what I thought of it. You get the sense of fulfillment of doing a work because of this person, which gives you that sense of fulfillment in what you're doing. It may be for something as base as bodily pleasures, or a higher sense of satisfaction in the mind by the higher education, or that fulfillment, people, acknowledgement from people. Like
Correct.
I said.
Yeah.
So,
Correct. As long as we're attached to that, as long as we're attached to all these things, then we will keep doing work for those things. Right? But the minute we're detached from it, then who cares if you praise the body or not? And who cares if you compliment the mind or not? Who cares? Like we just do what we do, right?
Yeah.
Now isn't that such a fabulous way to live? You don't ever have to care. Means in a good way, You don't ever have to care in a good way. And your very dharma, whatever you do, is just an offering. You're not seeking fulfillment from anybody. Because actually whatever comes through you is coming from Bhagavan alone, isn't it? Because one who has realized has lost their individuality. They have no sense of who they are. It's as if Bhagavan is just working through them.
And the same is true for parent and child relationship, right? The moment you do it for then it becomes joyous, otherwise
Yeah.
it leads to a lot of sorrow.
The minute we do it,
For them, for them to get good grades, or for them to get a good job, or for them to look after us, then it becomes a little drama.
So don't do it, right? Don't think, and it's very, I tell all the parents, listen, don't expect that your children will look after you, don't expect that they may get married, don't expect that they may, just don't do that, because you're setting yourself up for a trap now.
Yes.
The best thing we can do as parents or guides or teachers is sow the right seeds, give them the right roots, and what will happen? That's in their hands. Now what can we do, right?
Yes.
But to have this expectation, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that, we'll wallow in sorrow. It's not gonna happen. Let it go. Right? So that's
Certain times it's not very easy. Now, I'm not taking time. In this capitalistic world that we are in,
yeah.
I can be the most pious, religious thing, I can do my thing, and with all the Bodha that I have, I'll do the right thing. And if I'm a jungle of wolves, and they come and hound me on this, and they don't get it, I'm doing this preaching, and they don't understand the language, they talk two different languages. I got to be a wolf to be surviving in the wolf's life, and then kind of conquer those wolves, and then teach them to be sheep, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's many times the straight line is not a straight line. The best way to it is not. Got to work around it as well. So many times our interpretation also would not be as simple as sitting in a setup where it's warm and no wind and sound waves travel. When what you say travels through me and I absorb it. I go out in this wind and the stuff that I say won't come to my ears because they're external factors, and I have to be accepting those external factors and fight it, conquer it, and then do my thing. So, I guess,
Work with wisdom.
yeah.
But you're still doing it though, right?
Right, keep
Yeah,
doing
that's
it.
what
You
I
have
was-
to fight them.
Right, whatever path you take,
Yeah.
it's still the
It's
right
still
path.
right.
This is a really interesting point because, it's like the politicians' kind of quandary, right? Because they all have sort of a cause or something that they are passionate about. And then they say that, unless I get the power and the people and the money, I can't execute what I wanted to do from point A to point B. But then you lose your way along the way, and then it's all about the money and all that stuff, and then the cause is all gone. And so I don't know. So that's the tricky part. To me, I don't know how you can navigate
Yeah.
and be successful and all that stuff, and then say at some point, I think I'm gonna reach a point where I can now, actually practice what I wanted to practice. That's really-
Or get those
I think
to
that-
satsang as well. Get everybody to satsang.
That is the
That
best.
is-
That's the
That's
best.
the easiest thing to do. Otherwise, you got to keep fighting.
I've been trying that for
Point
quite
is-
some time.
I think the point is, in your example, to at least walk out and be conscious of it versus living without being
Yes.
that conscious.
Right.
Without even wanting to make them sheep, right? And die as a wolf. You don't want to do that. So the point is, at least be conscious that you want, this is not real, this is not the way, and you want to transcend it.
So I'll say last and I'll keep quiet. The only issue with all these thoughts is the one element which we have no control, which is the time. If you're looking in a 5-year or 10-year period to perform, and the market wants a quarterly returns, you don't have time. So if you apply this to different aspects of life, and if the time is not with you, then you're looking for, okay, in the next birth, I'll be a monk and I'll do the stuff. Because in this world, in this quarterly returns issue with, the bells are ringing and so I can't perform because my scale is different from everybody's scale.
No, but you
What do I
know,
do?
even
But I'm fighting my
corporations,
time.
even corporations are bringing that consciousness in what they are. Like they have started to ask themselves, am I a hotel management company or am I in a loyalty program? So what is your measure? Even they're bringing consciousness into who they are. What is their service? What is their product? Even corporations are becoming wiser and putting themselves into, because so much of disruptions are happening, that they are forced to think, where is this going? Where are the big bets? It may not be the market share, but they may not be in business in 2 years. You see, so they're also becoming wiser. They're looking at who we really are. What is our service about? So I think they're also evolving.
The funny thing is, it's ironical because the situation that you're talking about, the classic, quarterly results, is expected of the big giant corporations, the big egos.
No,
The
it's
startups
wrong.
don't have to worry about that because they have no, really a big identity in the market. It's all about the prospective long 5-year, 10-year period that you're talking, right? So it's just a matter of which game you decide to play. If you want to be the behemoth and the big, identity around, then you're going to have to be answerable to all the quarterly, So anyway, I didn't want to, because Sudha was been wanting to say something.
No, I was just saying that I think what was helpful to me was for fulfillment versus out of fulfillment. So evolving, transforming from that for fulfillment out of fulfillment.
Yes,
That is really.
that's the journey.
And that came up, Raji, in our self.
Yeah, that came out,
Yes.
yes, came out.
We were talking about vasanas, and we said go from bad vasanas to good vasanas, and then you transcend the vasanas. Then whatever you're doing is Ishvara Sankalpa. It's
Yeah.
not out of vasanas.
Yeah.
Right? So you will go beyond vasanas.
No, so,
The height of it.
can I just get back to it? I mean, nowhere it says you don't have to play the game. If it's quarterly, you have to play the game. But you play the game, learn the loops. I mean, if you do this, then you will, if you do it as a form of worship, you will be pretty good at it. You know? So nowhere it says do not do, the whole thing of a butcher, right? I mean, one of the things, the butcher, he cuts meat. I mean, he's not cutting the meat, he's cutting the meat, but he's cutting it as a sadhana, and that is where you are best at it. So if we can see it from outside, then it actually helps us play the game better. So
Okay.
Detachment, I think that's what
Oh,
I'm
Yes.
I'm very, very happy to see that everybody's into this. I will have to go, so we'll just chant a short prayer, and then you can all talk, and I will do more and more about this. The more the better. And come back next month for the next section of the definition of Atma, which is beyond the 5 koshas, or 5 sheets, and the witness of the 3 states. That's what we'll take up next month. Okay, so let's close. Get off the body. Enjoy.
Mohammed, we have a Guru Dakshina.
Yeah.